Hello, and welcome to the Rest, Repair, Recover podcast. I'm Suzy Bolt. This is a space for anyone who's navigating chronic illness. We are here to share real stories, helpful insights, and honest conversations about what it really takes to help yourself heal a tiny bit every day. So whether you're in bed listening, you're on a gentle walk, or you're just needing some company as you go about your day, I'm so glad that you're here.
Hi, we are here, Kevin and I, to talk about the sometimes controversial subject of SSRIs, which are commonly known as antidepressants. Now, a lot of people get quite upset around the being prescribed an SSRI, and it's quite an evocative moment for a lot of people on their journey. Doctors can be seen to be prescribing people SSRIs as a way of perhaps saying this is all anxiety. Now, what I want us to talk about in a little bit more depth here is what an SSRI is actually helping the body do, because they do slightly more than just manage anxiety. So for me personally, I know that my journey of recovery involved around 16, 17 months of being on an SSRI, and I personally found it hugely helpful. My illness was not all in my mind, it was not anxiety, but it helped me with certain aspects of what was happening. So what I would love to hear from Kevin about, so that we can all learn a bit more, is what is an SSRI essentially, and what are the broad spectrum of things that they might do for us that could actually be really helpful?
Just to say that we're a natural pharmacy at Naked Pharmacy, and my philosophy and the pharmacist's philosophy is the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So absolutely, if there's a conventional approach, prescribed approach to depression, which is a very difficult disease to manage, then absolutely that has to be considered as the first line treatment, because for many different reasons. But I think the key is that this is a drug that increases the amount of serotonin, which we call the happy hormone.
Right.
So it enables more of it to circulate because it's a reuptake inhibitor. So that's between the nerve endings, synapse, and if the serotonin is being reuptaked into the synapse, the nerve ending, in a lesser way or a slower way, then obviously there's more serotonin around, more of the happy hormone. So then the impact of that on your nervous system, on all the elements, your hormonal system that is linked to that, is going to be uplifted. So from a pharmacist perspective, I think, and from a medical perspective, I think what we're trying to do is create a period of health.
Yes.
So that you can breathe. Because I know one of the issues of depression is that everything is swamped. So you actually can't function properly. So if we can create that window of light with an SSRI, and there are lots of different types of SSRIs. So again, it's about the relationship between you and your GP in terms of finding the right one for you.
And I tried two, definitely, before I settled.
So, there are slight chemical variations of the same class of drug, and that make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And this is what I did when I was in drug research, is that we would often vary different parts of the same molecular structure, and that would have big impacts on the clinical effects and the safety profile and stuff like that. So from a risk-benefit point of view, in depression, I think that the benefits are high, the risks are relatively low, and if we can create that window of light where people can function and can manage, and then start to bring in other elements of self-care around it, that sorts out maybe an imbalance in their nervous system, vitamin and minerals deficiencies in the nervous system in terms of your mood and your levels of anxiety can have massive impacts. So, B12 is a classic example of a vitamin that's often deficient if you're vegetarian or vegan.
Right.
Even more so, malabsorption of B12 and the impact of that, you can get muscle tremors from too little B12 in your system. So, and again, it's just like vitamin D and magnesium, it's a vitamin that's so easily, quickly purchased and taken
Right.
with no side effects, or relatively few side effects, it's cost effective and has big impacts. So I would say absolutely SSRIs, whatever form that takes, whatever type of SSRI that is a really important part of that journey, that process.
So let's just unpick what they might be helping. So I think the worry is that people think that the doctor is only prescribing them because they can see that they're emotionally struggling with the journey, whatever that might mean. Maybe it's depression, maybe it's anxiety, maybe, they can see someone just breaking down. My life is upside down because I'm not well, I haven't been able to go to work, whatever it is, and I'm struggling. The SSRI doesn't just treat the struggle, so to speak. It can actually also help with sleep. And I think we've touched on that in other conversations around sleep. It can help lower inflammation responses. And I myself personally noticed that I didn't catch as many colds. So the impact on my immune system, because perhaps everything was a little calmer and there was less cortisol, meant that I wasn't catching as many of the winter colds over that period. And for me, I was quite surprised by the gains. So not only did it help me feel like I'd sort of had a felt blanket put around me and everything just felt less exhausting and stressful, but there were other more notable sort of benefits, which I think are actually quite worth talking about. So the inflammation piece, I think, is quite an interesting thing to hang on to. And I know that there has been some research done on it lowering inflammatory markers in patients. So again, if we think about the conversation we've had around inflammation, there's definitely something in that. So I really want people to hang on to the fact that if your doctor does mention an SSRI to you, it isn't just because they think that what is going on is all in your mind. They may be offering you that drug as a means of helping to regulate some of the symptoms of the experience of your entire sort of illness, sort of manifestation. So we've talked a little bit about B12. What else? If someone was kind of going, I don't want to take that drug is not something that I'm happy to put in my body. The risks for me personally far outweigh the benefits. What else could they look at to experiment with?
So we talked about B12, which is really important. B vitamins generally are important.
Right.
So, B complex, and just look at your food groups and what we do. Sugar. So inflammation and depression, anxiety is really intrinsically linked.
Right.
And so anything that drives inflammation is going to drive up anxiety and drive up issues like depression.
Right.
So sugar.
Do you know what? When you say sugar, it's so interesting because it really reminds me that as soon as we feel rubbish, as soon as we feel tired, what does the brain do? It goes, have some sugar, have a piece of cake, have that chocolate bar that's been lying in the cupboard, have that cup of coffee. It's going, now, let's fix it now so we can get that quick spike of something.
Yeah.
But actually what we're doing is contributing to the bigger problem.
Yeah, the cycle. And, we know that sugar is a risk factor for Alzheimer's.
Right.
So longer term risk factors. So anything you do to reduce your sugar spikes, and it sometimes often is things that you're doing as a routine that you don't realize are driving. I mean, we talked earlier, driving the inflammation, which is causing the problem in the first place. So undermining drivers of the condition, you've got to deal with that because actually, if you are taking an SSRI, and it's really important to say that we support that process. If that's the decision between you and your GP, then actually reducing the drivers for that inflammation, reducing the drivers for the depression, anxiety, like sugar, will make the SSRI work better.
Okay, great.
Think about it that way.
Yeah.
Getting more effective. And actually, if the doctor can go from 40 to 20 milligrams and get the same effect, then that's far better for you in the long term.
Yeah.
So less side effects from a low dose. So and that is a consideration for any prescribed drugs, including SSRIs. So inflammation, 100%, and it may be these nutritional drinks, the protein drinks and stuff. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
Often they're not just pure protein, they're wrapped in maltodextrin. And so you think maltodextrin
Hasn't got the word sugar in it.
Hasn't got the word sugar, but it's milk sugar.
Right.
So, which is a sugar.
Yeah.
So, and actually, often in those powders, they are very large quantities of that maltodextrin.
Yeah.
So, investigating the ingredient list on whatever it is you're having. Protein, really important. Protein, amino acids make hormones.
Okay.
So, your protein levels needs to be up. The older you get, you're looking at 35, 40 grams of protein a day. It's a lot. So you've got to find ways of putting that into your body on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So protein rather than sugar.
Great.
Amino acids. And alongside that, there are plenty of ways. Saffron is my,
Saffron is your fave, isn't it?
It's the first supplement we launched because of the impact for clinical studies, human studies on anxiety, depression, and sleep.
Yeah.
As effective as a prescribed drug.
Wow.
For those conditions, and others like ADHD as well. Really good for those, and very compatible. No problem taking the two alongside. So why wouldn't you? And so we got to get used to try and think, well, okay, there's no problem about taking that alongside a prescribed drug because, again, if I can just create that window of light, a window where my symptoms are less or gone, then it gives you the confidence that you're on top. Because a lot of this is about chronic disease. It's confidence, right? It knocks your confidence.
Yeah.
I'm not in charge of my own body.
I don't trust my body anymore.
Yeah, there's a disconnect there and stuff like that. Actually, if you can reconnect and think, well, actually, I am in charge of my body, then you're starting to reprogram that neuro pathway.
Right. The neuroplastic changes are happening again.
Another factor, which, when I was in the drug industry, we had a whole department doing psychiatric drugs.
Right.
And we would dismiss any drug that didn't cross the blood-brain barrier, which is a barrier that controls the absorption of anything that goes into the brain circulation. So because it was thought that all the serotonin exists in the brain, and so therefore if you're affecting the serotonin in the brain, then but actually what we found now is that at least 70% of serotonin produced in the gut.
Yes.
So back to gut health,
interesting.
turmeric, probiotics, slippery elm, because if your gut is inflamed or is not happy, your biome, again, did you know that if you have an antibiotic, then you are as a woman above a certain age, you are 40% more likely to have depression or anxiety within the following 6 months. So that in itself is a story that tells you.
Wait, let me just process what you've just said. So as someone who had to have antibiotics because of a UTI around Christmas time, I am now 40 to 60% more likely to have a period of depression as a result of that.
So that just shows you, obviously, it makes sense. If most of the serotonin is produced in the gut, if you are affecting or wiping out a whole sphere of bacteria, good, healthy bacteria that interact with the cell wall, cell membrane, enzymes, all the hormonal cycle, reprocessing,
it's just crashing.
It's crashing. So you've got to kind of work hard. It's a hard journey to replenish those bacteria. If you go to France and you have an antibiotic, you are given a probiotic as standard with your prescription.
I knew this,
It just doesn't happen over here.
Yeah.
So it's a travesty because there's so many issues are being created because of it.
Yeah.
And who knows what the long-term effects other than that are.
Right.
So absolutely, if you've got a really serious infection, you need to probably be treated with an antibiotic, a focused, targeted antibiotic.
Yeah, that's it.
Not a, the whole process of giving broad spectrum antibiotics. I think that philosophy is gone now, although sometimes it happens in practice. So a targeted antibiotic, shortest possible course, just a slight digression, acne is still being treated with, an antibiotic over a 6-month period and stuff. And there are much, much better ways of treating acne naturally other than going down that route. Long-term impact of that treatment, what is that doing to the biome and what is that doing to lots of different systems? So absolutely.
Super important for us to be really thinking about this from the gut health perspective,
absolutely.
isn't it?
100%.
Oh my goodness.
It's a long process though. Probiotics, you need to be on them 6-9 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So that in itself isn't something that we talk enough about, I think.
Yeah.
So the length of time is really important.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just come back to this SSRI alternative. So now I've heard and tried of things like 5-HTP.
Yeah.
And also haven't tried, but have heard a lot about St. John's wort, which
Yeah.
I know does have some reactions with other drugs. We have to be more careful with it.
Yeah.
But what about those? What are they doing that would be different to some of the other stuff that we've been talking about?
So they are very different. I suppose St. John's wort probably closer to saffron than 5-HT.
Right.
5-HT is a precursor. So it's a neurotransmitter precursor. So
Okay.
you look at these kind of chemical processes that happen in the body, it's kind of feeding one of those processes into those neurotransmitters. Why not kind of feed more of it, but actually just be careful and overdosing?
Okay.
Because some people, take huge amounts of this stuff. And again, no long-term safety data on that use.
Yeah.
So minimum effective dose. If it makes a difference for you, then fine.
Great.
Make sure you've got a good supplier.
Yeah.
Maybe the right reason.
All the stats.
Same old thing again. If I was to choose between St. John's wort and saffron, I'd choose saffron every day because saffron is doing a lot more than St. John's wort. It's an anti-inflammatory for a start. It's neuroregenerative. So it reconnects nerve fibers. So study on macular degeneration, which is age-related degeneration of the macular cells at the back of the eye, nerve cells, it can restore that function.
Oh, wow.
So that tells you what it's doing to the nerve cells. Right?
Yeah.
And not only that, it's having an effect on reducing cortisol, stress hormone in the morning, and it help lift with serotonin, happy hormone. So it has multiple components in it. So the orchestra effects,
love that.
Body is an orchestra. So why not treat it with an orchestra or a conductor that can affect different systems?
Feed all the orchestra.
Absolutely, because that's it.
Not just the conductor.
That's it. So it's kind of like one-dimensional, versus multi-dimensional.
Yeah.
So saffron at the right strength and the right concentration of the bioactives. Again, same with the turmeric, same with those polyphenolic or carotenoid type compounds within. Those are the things that do the work. Has to be the right range of components and has to be the right strength. Otherwise, it simply will not work.
Right. Okay.
So that's science. That's basic pharmaceutical science.
Yeah.
That is common sense, but doesn't tend to get applied because it's more expensive.
Right. Okay.
And it's harder.
Right. Yeah. And also we are not educated on it because we're just the consumer.
No.
Just the consumer.
Yeah. and that will change.
Yeah.
It is changing.
Well, it is slowly.
But saffron, 100%.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are our that would be your top recommendation for a natural alternative for an SSRI.
Yeah.
So we've got some really good choices there for you to make. You've got gut as the kind of route to make sure that you're really taking care of that. You've got saffron and you've also got the SSRI if that's where you want to go.
Yeah.
And you could take those two together, couldn't you?
That's really important to say that often as not, they work really well alongside, and actually some of these supplements improve the effect of the pharmaceutical.
Wow.
So bergamot is a classic example, proper randomized controlled study alongside a statin called rosuvastatin, and they showed that bergamot, the right strength, the right range of actives, alongside made the drug at half the dose more effective than double the dose of the individual statin. So that was published in the International International Journal of Cardiology. So it's not, it is a mainstream peer-reviewed journal. And it showed that, so actually given we know that high dose prescribed drugs, risk-benefit profile changes, side effects increase.
Yeah.
If you get the same effect or better, half the dose, why wouldn't you use it?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you tell your patients?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But, but sometimes it does take a bit of an investment to do that.
Yeah.
So I understand that as well. So that's hard. So.
And these things take time for people. I know a lot of doctors really, really, really are risk averse of giving, this more perhaps newer information to their patients because they're very scared of making the wrong choices for them and putting their patients at risk. So we have to understand why. But it is lovely to hear this kind of information, So.
And also, just to mention hormones, impact of hormones on mood.
Yes.
Anxiety, as we're talking about later.
Yeah.
So get the basics checked as well. Vitamin D levels.
Right.
What's your vitamin D level?
Right.
What's your thyroxine level? So your thyroid function. So often deficiency in iodine, which feeds the thyroxine, is major. And a simple supplement. We have one, Saffron Energy, which has got a seaweed from an organic seaweed, and it's got lots of iodine in it. Is a great way of supplement and getting your thyroid gland working, which is often a problem in chronic illness. So ME,
very much so.
Post-COVID and stuff like that. Powerhouse is stop driving it's not fueling the body in the way that it was before. So seaweed is brilliant, absolutely brilliant for that.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, we've got lots from there. Okay, thank you. Really helpful.
Thank you.
So hopefully you've all got something else to think about. Don't be afraid of an SSRI. Don't be afraid of what it means to you. If your doctor offers it, get them to explain how it might help you before you jump into that realm of the stigma associated with it. And it's lovely to know that there are some other things that you can do completely naturally that will help alongside that. Okay? Okay.
Thank you so much for listening to the Rest, Repair, Recover podcast. If today's episode gave you hope, made you smile, or even just helped you feel a bit less alone, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and maybe share it with someone who might need it too. So until next time, take care of yourselves and know that you're not on your own.